All right, shall we talk about the Australia squad for the Rugby Championships 2024? Yeah, nah. No, yeah, let's do it. This is Straya and Joe Schmidt's squads for the matches. Well, certainly the matches where they're hosting South Africa. Could change for the games. I think they play Argentina after that. Yeah, and they finish with the Bledisloe games against New Zealand. One of those home and away. But yeah, they host South Africa. And yeah, this is the squad. The headlines: Marika is back. Marika Korombete back in the squad. That's big news for them. But no Will Skelton. And no explanation of why there's no Will Skelton as well. And another one good, one bad. From a selection perspective, Angus Bell is back. Big boost for Australia's front row options. But no Fraser McReight, which is a massive hammer blow to the back row options. Because he has been class. 5 uncapped players who could make a debut. And yeah, I'd sort of summarise the squad as saying raw with some quality. We're going to know a lot more about this Australia squad in the next few weeks. One thing I will say, this goes for Australia and Argentina, who both announced their squads today. They both announced their squads by giving a list of forwards and then a list of backs in alphabetical order. I do like it when squads separate into positions. Just makes it a bit easier to look at a glance, doesn't it? Anyway, I'll do my best to make sense of it with you. Leave your comments down below. I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers. Give the video a thumbs up as well. So let's go back to that omission of Will Skelton. I said no explanation was offered for why he's not there. That's a real shame. I'm guessing that was Will Skelton's choice. Because, I mean, maybe Joe Schmidt just wants, I don't know, maybe he wants people that are certain, maybe he just doesn't think Will Skelton fits the chemistry of the group. But his talent would mean that I would look past that and work with it. And I mean, he seems like a good bloke anyway, but I'd pick him basically. I would pick him. If I had the chance to pick Will Skelton, I would pick him. He's a 150 kilogram unit. Emmanuel Meafu is already an Australian that's 150 kilos that's been lost to France. Just think of what the options Australia could have had if they'd have had both of those guys. That is a lot. That is 300 kilos of Australian beef that they either cannot or are not picking. I'm guessing that Will Skelton has chosen not to play for Australia. Maybe he's tired after a 10.5-month top 14 season. The top 14 season is ridiculous. It's the reason why France don't send an A team when they tour in July, because they cannot. They physically and logistically cannot send their best players on tour, which is why a lot of people have been talking about Antoine Dupont. Oh, he's never won in New Zealand or South Africa. They never tour New Zealand or South Africa because they can't, because their league season goes on forever. It's nuts. But anyway, Will Skelton might just want a break, possibly. As for, one big frame that they have called up, one of the potential debutants, Seru Uru, he's had a really good season. Big man, and I think that size might be why he's being selected. It's definitely selected on merit. I'm cautiously optimistic about Australia's front row. Their front 5 overall, I'd sort of say a little bit of experience, maybe a soft underbelly, but if Angus Bell can get back to anything like the form he was in, then with him and Taniela Tupou now fit, touch wood, he stays fit, that's much, much better for Australia, and they need that. We'll see. As for the back row, yeah, as I said, no Fraser McReight, 6 weeks out, which is a big blow. No Liam Wright either, who looked good when he made his debut. So Rima, Tizano, battling for potentially an open side spot or a spot on the bench. You just worry with that back row. When Pieter-Steph Totoy and the guys come to town, they could get a working over. But we'll see. We're going to learn a lot about these young men. As for the backs, quality but not depth. And outside of a few players, not a lot of experience either, which is why it is so key that Marika Korombete is back. And along with Daungunu, that's some talented wing options there. And a lot of wheels in the backfield. Max Jorgensen, how is he still uncapped? He feels like he's been in the Australia squad for ages. And he's a talented and very promising young outside back. As is Corey O'Toole, fresh from Paris in the Sevens. That guy has got wheels. So there's some good options in the backfield for Australia. Can they lay a platform to make the most of it? And can they get a half-back combination together that is going to take the game by the scruff of the neck? In that sense, the 2 squads that have been announced today, Argentina and Australia, I'd say are pretty similar. They've got a lot of talent in some areas, but in those crucial areas, and half-back being that, do they have I don't know, there's been chopping and changing even from Joe Schmidt so far. What I'd like to see is the conviction from Joe Schmidt to go, that's my 9 and 10. I've tried people out. I know now my best 9 and 10, and I'm going to go for it. I want to see some consistency in selection, or that's what I would be wanting to see if I was Australian now. I understand why Joe Schmidt has been chopping and changing and giving people a chance and having a look. And I think he will now go, they're my boys. We will see. Raw, and I'd be worried if I was a Wallabies fan. Although history speaks to the good form that Australia have against South Africa, something which Rassie Erasmus has been talking about in his press conference before his team flew. I think they flew today to Australia. So Brisbane in particular has not been a happy hunting ground for South Africa, and that every little percentage point of motivation or momentum, Australia will need to use it. I just don't know if they're going to have enough to cope with the power of South Africa. We'll see. I mean, we'll get on to talking about who South Africa are going to select against them. How do you feel about this Australia squad? Who are you excited about? What do you think the combinations are going to be like? And back to Will Skelton, do you think it's Joe Schmidt making that call, or do you think Will Skelton's making that call? Because there's very few people like him in the world, let alone in this Australia squad. I think Joe Schmidt's done well so far, but the rubber's going to meet the road when we get to the Rugby Championship, because these are the big boys. And the world champions coming to town and then having to go away to Argentina. It's pretty spicy. Let's see how it goes. I can't wait for the rugby to start, by the way, and I'll be covering all of it on the channel, of course. So hit subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.